A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1 for the Newsfirst, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan.
And I am Thiruni Karnaratna. Here are tonight's top stories. Laws will not be passed without public consent, President assures. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Harini meets Indian Prime Minister Modi. Police launch investigation with the help of Sirasa to locate her hiding places. 3 arrested on suspicion of aiding her prior to escaping from Sri Lanka. 53 kilograms of drugs seized in fishing vessel in Southern Sea. FR petition against India-Sri Lanka Digital ID MOU rejected by Supreme Court.
On to those stories in detail. President Anurakumara Dissanayake stated that the government will not advance any legislation without public consensus.
The National Conference of the Ceylon Teachers Service Union was held today at the Sugatadas Indoor Stadium under the patronage of President Anurakumara Dissanayake. Held under the theme Ratanagana Guru Paura, which loosely translates to teachers who build the nation, the conference was attended by school principals, leaders of teachers' unions and other participants.
Now the challenge we face is that first and foremost our country must build a very strong and stable economic foundation. However, this cannot be done by focusing solely on the economy without upholding the rule of law or creating a society free of conflicts. Now many are saying that by 2028 we will have to start repaying debt, and that by 2028 we may face a situation where debt repayment is impossible. Yes, that is true if they had been in charge. Keep in mind the present situation. That is why building an economy that can reach 2028 in a well-planned and sustainable way is part of our policy. I want to tell you that this year could be recognized as the year in Sri Lankan history with the highest national production relative to income. In the upcoming November budget, I hope to present the amount of incomplete and abandoned constructions and the expenditures incurred for them. Looking at all of this, many constructions for the state were undertaken for political control or political interests. We need an efficient public service. In addition, wage disparities cannot be solved by salary increases alone. We are paying special attention to this and are ready to take immediate steps to minimize these wage inequalities. I know that especially retired teachers have wage disparities. All who retired before 2020 will receive the 2020 pay scale. From the 1st January 2025, all retirees will have pensions calculated according to the 2027 pay scale. However, a special group of teachers received a special salary increase in 2022. There is a disparity there. It must be resolved. But we need time. We will resolve it. Just give us time. We are focusing on vocational education. For this, we aim to establish at least 25 very strong vocational education centers in every district. At the start of education and later in the system, isolated schools, difficult schools and very difficult schools are included. However, this system cannot continue in the same way for decades. Yet, it exists. Teachers are putting in a great deal of effort to provide education to children in these schools. We are providing a small incentive for that. We are planning in this budget to increase these incentives to some extent.
Regarding proposed amendments to the penal code, the President said that the government will not formulate legislations that is rejected by the public.
There has been widespread protest regarding certain legal reforms, right? Concerning amendments to the law, let me tell you, yes, a bill has been presented to Parliament, but it has not been approved by Parliament. Laws are not made by me or by my Parliament for myself. Laws are made for the public. If a law is made that citizens do not agree with, it will not be approved in Parliament. We are paying special attention to this. I assure you that we make laws based on the will of the people, not on the wishes of rulers. The era of making laws based on the ruler's will is over. Constitutions were made according to ruler's will in the past. But today, every law we enact is made considering the citizen's perspective and the perspective of those affected by the law.
The 2025 NDTV World Summit officially began today in New Delhi, India. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, who travelled to India to attend the summit, met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi today. In a post on X, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that he was glad to welcome the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Harini Amarasuriya. He added that their discussions had covered a broad range of areas, including education, women's empowerment, innovation, development cooperation and the welfare of fishermen. He also noted that as close neighbours, their cooperation held immense importance for the prosperity of both peoples as well as the shared region. The NDTV World Summit 2025 began today at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, bringing together global leaders, policymakers, innovators and cultural influencers for dynamic exchange of ideas and solutions. Among the other speakers are former UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott, British High Commissioner to India Lindy Cameron and BCCI Chief Selector Ajit Agarkar. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya delivered the keynote address at the event.
On behalf of the people of Sri Lanka, I wish to express our deepest gratitude to Prime Minister Modi and most importantly to the Indian people for the assistance and sustained support extended to us during Sri Lanka's most severe economic crisis in 2022. This support is a lasting reminder that India's help at our hour of need is remembered and deeply valued by our people. The theme of this summit, Risk, Resolve, Renewal, captures the reality of our age. We live in a time when change no longer moves in predictable cycles. Instead, it arrives in shocks. A pandemic, a climate crisis, geopolitical shifts, and rapid technological disruption have together redefined what leadership demands. Uncertainty today is not episodic, it's structural, touching not only economics and security, but also trust, values, and the very meaning of progress. Yet uncertainty also brings opportunity. It compels us to rethink, to innovate, to reimagine, to adopt, and to imagine new possibilities. Leadership in such times is about equipping societies to respond with resilience, fairness, foresight, empathy, and effective communication. Risk is often portrayed as peril, sometimes mistaken for recklessness. However, risk is also the first step towards renewal and progress. Without taking risk, growth and change remain impossible. At the same time, as leaders, we must remember that risk may be experienced differently by different groups of people. It is accepted that Sri Lanka's continued reform momentum, coupled with social protection, is what will make Sri Lanka's recovery last. Renewal also means partnership. The agreements signed during Prime Minister Modi's visit to Sri Lanka in April this year are not transactional. They are foundational to the India-Sri Lanka partnership built on sustainability and shared security and prosperity. The title of my address, Steering Change in Uncertain Times, to my mind, reflects the task of every government and generation, more so now in the face of climate change, AI, geopolitical shifts and changes, and weakening multilateralism. Countries such as mine cannot control the tides of global change, but what we can control is how we respond with clarity of mind and purpose, a sense of cooperation, partnership, and values. Today, as Sri Lanka rebuilds, our partnership with India has evolved into a forward-looking, multifaceted collaboration in every conceivable area, from development cooperation, training and capacity building, connectivity including grid connectivity, energy security, digitalization, education and technology, trade and investment, defense, tourism, and cultural, and importantly, people-to-people connectivity. Steering change in uncertain times requires precisely this: the courage to collaborate, the humility to learn, and turning solidarity into shared strength. We envision building a digital Sri Lanka where every citizen has access, every transaction leaves a trace, and every public service to the extent possible is transparent.
The inaugural NDTV World Summit was held in October 2024 under the theme The India Century, featuring speeches by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and former UK Prime Minister David Cameron. This year marks Sri Lanka's first participation in the event.
Meanwhile, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya has reaffirmed her country's unwavering commitment to regional security, declaring that Sri Lanka will never allow its soil to be used in a manner that threatens India's security. She made these remarks while addressing students at Hindu College in New Delhi yesterday.
India has been an unwavering partner in Sri Lanka's journey, supporting our economic recovery, providing critical assistance during times of crisis, and standing up with us in our pursuit of stability and growth. When Sri Lanka faced her most severe economic crisis in 2022, India extended credit lines, fuel and essential supplies. These are not forgotten. They are written in the memory of our people. This wasn't just this diplomatic assistance, it was the hand of a true friend extended in our darkest hour. Sri Lanka, for her part, has consistently upheld a solemn pledge, never to permit her soil to be used in a manner that threatens the security of India. This principle remains sacrosanct. Our partnership, as you can see, is clearly not episodic. It is structural. It is not a temporary convenience of today. It is a necessity of tomorrow. As Sri Lanka charts its course for the future, we see India not just as a neighbor, but as a trusted partner in our quest for development and prosperity. The government of Sri Lanka recognizes education as a primary responsibility and is committed to reducing the financial burden on families while ensuring equal access to quality education across the country. The strength of the Sri Lanka-India partnerships lies in our collective action, in our shared commitment to addressing challenges that transcend borders, whether they involve environmental concerns, economic development, counter-terrorism efforts, maritime issues, or ensuring growth that benefits the peoples of both our countries. For India and Sri Lanka, opportunities are boundless. What is required is the wisdom to seize them. The India-Sri Lanka partnership is also an opportunity for people like you, because you are tomorrow's leaders and entrepreneurs. Whether it's collaborating on renewable energy projects like solar and wind, digital services, technological innovation, or sustainable agriculture and food security, the opportunities are limitless. The future of the Indian Ocean region depends on young people like you, who can see beyond borders and build partnerships rooted in trust. Leaders who can build an even more inclusive, prosperous, connected, and mutually beneficial India, an India and Sri Lanka partnership, so that future generations in both our countries can thrive in an interconnected, interdependent, peaceful world.
Over 53 kilograms of heroin were recovered from a multi-day fishing vessel in international waters south of Sri Lanka. The vessel, along with 5 fishermen on board, was handed over to the Navy last night.
The multi-day fishing vessel Sayura Jaya had set out from Sirasa fishing harbour on the 16th of last month. 50 parcels of narcotics were discovered on board, which were brought to Goa Fisheries Harbour this afternoon.
After a several-day operation along the southern coast, approximately 800 naval personnel managed to seize over 50 kilograms of heroin. We aim to continue these operations efficiently and without interruption.
Navy media spokesperson Commander Buddhika Sampath stated that the 5 suspected fishermen were handed over to the Police Narcotics Bureau for further investigation. The suspects are residents of Devinura, Matara and Vanduraba.
3 people, including a police constable, have been taken into custody on charges of providing protection to Ishara Silwandi, the main female suspect of the Gane Mulla Sanjeeva murder case. The arrests were made during an investigation by the Colombo Crimes Division into the locations where she had been hiding after the murder of Gane Mulla Sanjeeva.
This morning, Sirasa, who is under the custody of the Colombo Crimes Division, showed investigators several locations in the Mathugama area where she had been hiding. Those taken into custody in connection with aiding her include a police constable, the mother of his wife and a close associate of an organized crime figure known as Mathugama Shan. Sirasa has stated that she had been hiding in various locations for 3 months following the Ganemula Sanjeeva murder. She further revealed that she remained in the Mathugama area for over a month. Later, he did Matara and eventually fled to India via a boat route.
The Colombo High Court Judge Manjula Tilakaratna has ordered that the life sentence imposed on Kanapati Ganesh alias Totalanga Khanna, a prominent drug trafficker, be enforced starting today. Ganesh was convicted on October 10 for 2 charges, possessing 39.99 grams of heroin and trafficking the drug, for which he was sentenced to life imprisonment.
Totalanga Khanna, who had been in remand custody after being arrested by officers of the Colombo Crimes Division while hiding in a housing complex in Kotahena and presented to the Magistrates Court on the 15th of October, was brought before the Colombo High Court today. The Chief Judge of the High Court directed the Registrar to issue a warrant of punishment on behalf of the convict and instructed the Prison Commissioner to ensure that the convict receives medical treatment for his health condition. The convict had been arrested on 26th of December 2014 by the Police Narcotics Bureau with a stock of heroin. The case filed against him by the Attorney General was tried in his absence. On 10th of October, the High Court sentenced him to life imprisonment for 2 charges related to the heroin possession and trafficking. On the same day, the High Court also issued an open warrant for his arrest, instructing authorities to take him into custody wherever he is found.
2 fundamental rights petitions seeking to nullify the Memorandum of Understanding between Sri Lanka and India on the issuance of digital IDs for citizens were dismissed today. The petitions had been filed by former Minister Vimal Veeravansa and social activist Amani Rishad Hamid. The Supreme Court ruled that these petitions would be dismissed without examination.
The petitions were heard today before a 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court comprising Chief Justice Preeti Padman Surasena and Justices Mahinda Samyawardena and Arjunobe Sekara. Appearing on behalf of the Attorney General, Solicitor General Viraj Dayaratna stated that under the Constitution, a petition claiming a violation of fundamental rights must be filed within 30 days of the alleged breach. He noted that these petitions were filed after the legal time limit had expired, making them time-barred. Under these circumstances, the Solicitor General requested the court to dismiss the petitions without examination. Lawyers representing social activist Amani Rishad Hamid and former Minister Vimal Veeravansa presented facts to support the petitions. After considering all submissions, the 3-judge Supreme Court bench decided to dismiss the petitions without taking them up for examination.
Case file.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's security officer Neville Wanyarachi has been further remanded until October 31st by Colombo Chief Magistrate Asanga S. Bodaragama following his arrest over allegations of illicit asset accumulation.
Appearing on behalf of the Bribery Commission, Assistant Director of Legal Affairs Sulochana Hettiarachi presented an updated report to the court outlining the progress of ongoing investigations. She informed the court that further inquiries are to be conducted regarding a newly identified list of assets belonging to the suspect. According to Hettiarachi, the new list reveals properties registered not only under the suspect's name but also under the names of his wife and other external individuals. Hettiarachi further noted that statements will need to be recorded from the suspect's family members during these investigations. She cautioned that releasing the suspect on bail could lead to interference with witnesses. The Bribery Commission also notified the court that among the assets linked to the suspect, certain properties cannot be investigated under the Anti-Corruption Act. Therefore, steps will be taken under the Money Laundering Act to address those matters. During the proceedings, President's counsel Sampath Mendis, appearing for the suspect, requested bail. However, the magistrate rejected the application, stating that the suspect had previously been found guilty of failing to disclose assets in an earlier case. The Chief Magistrate added that the suspect had not provided adequate cooperation for the current investigation, reinforcing the decision to deny bail. The case has been scheduled to be called again on the 31st October.
News First with the people.
Is the Samaki Jana Balabege ready to align with those accused in the central bank bond scam? At a media briefing held today, journalists questioned Tharakanane Akkara, chairman of the Samagi Youth Lawyers Association, on whether the Samagi Janabalawegaya was prepared to join forces with individuals accused in the central bank bond scam.
දැන් මේ ඇත්තටම ඔබතුමාලන්ට ලැජ්ජාවක් කියලා නැත්නම් මේ බැඳුම් කර හොරුත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්නේ
කොයිද බැඳුම් කර හොරුත් එක්ක අපි එකතු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ
නායකතුමාව තමයි ඒ දවස්වල කිව්වේ එතකොට රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ හොරා බැඳුම් කර හොරකම් කරා කියලා
සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්තයා කියලා නෑ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ හොරෙක් කියලා බැඳුම් කර වංචාවට වගකිව යුතු අය ඉන්නවන් නම්
Sajid Premadasa never said Ranil Wickremesinghe was a thief. If anyone is responsible for the bond scam, then they should be held accountable. But remember, Sajid Premadasa is not in power now. The ones in power are President Anurukumara Dissanayake, Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya and their cabinet. They have been in power for a year. If Ranil Wickremesinghe is linked to the bond scam, then arrest him, file charges and take the necessary legal steps. As the SJBV will never stand up to protect Ranil Wickremesinghe. You can make as many allegations as you want, but if there is evidence to prove it, then by all means, take action.
අනිවාර්යෙන් ඒ පියවර ගන්න.
Although Attorney-at-Law Tharakanane Akkara claimed no alliance with the bond scam accused, what exactly did Samagi Janabalawegaya leader Sajid Premadasa declare before the public back then?
The Samagi Janabalawegaya will never join hands with the bond scam culprits. The bond scam and corruption cost this country billions. If that money had been available today, we could have donated vital medical equipment to save lives in our hospitals. We will never form any alliance or partnership with political parties representing those involved in the bond scam.
නියෝජනය කරන දේශපාලන පක්ෂත් සමග අපේ කිසිම සන්ධානයක් එකතු වීම.
Premadasa did not stop there. On the very next day, the parliamentary group convened and passed a resolution. The resolution on the 7th of July 2021 by SJB parliamentary group stated that the party would never engage in any alliance or discussion with anyone linked to the bond scam. In every election since then, the SJB reaffirmed this pledge before the people.
අපි මහ බැංකු හොරු ටික
We completely removed the central bank thieves. We drove out the masterminds behind the disastrous bond transactions that ruined the central bank. We crushed that clique entirely. We have started a new journey.
බැස්සා අපි අලුත් ගමනක් පටන් ගත්තා.
It is the people who elect politicians. But once in power, they will do anything to hold on to it. Some make deals, some take them. Let's take a brief look at history. Now, the UNP and the breakaway SJB are preparing to unite and work together again. There have been similar alliances before. One notable example was the 2010 presidential election. Right after the civil war ended, Mahinda Rajapaksa decided to run for president a year earlier than expected. At that time, the opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe was expected to contest on behalf of the UNP. But that plan was disrupted. When the war ended, General Sarath Fonseca, who was the commander of the Sri Lanka army, was put forward as the candidate. Ultimately, arrangements were made to ask General Fonseca to contest for the presidency. Later, there was much debate over whether Ranil's support within the UNP had actually reached Fonseca during the election campaign. The election was held on the 26th of January 2010, with results announced the following day. Fonseca received 40.15% of the votes. Mahinda Rajapaksa received 57.88%. When the results were announced, Fonseca was with supporters from the parties that had backed him at a well-known hotel in Colombo. Security had cordoned off the hotel. After a few hours, the UNP leader quietly left, publicly stating to the Elections Commissioner that the presidential election had been fair.
We would like to thank all those who campaigned for Sarath Fonseca and who worked for him.
Finally, on the 8th of February 2010, General Fonseca was taken into custody. That marked the end of the 2010 presidential election. The UNP leader had chosen to step aside, leaving the responsibility to someone else. Now, once again, political alliances are being formed. Will this be just another political deal? Who is offering the deal? And who is taking it? The people are watching.
According to Kristalina Georgieva, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, the global surge in artificial intelligence investment is generating unprecedented optimism, particularly in the United States, but it also possesses risks of deepening economic divides. Speaking on the transformative potential of AI, Georgieva noted that the US currently leads the world in AI investment, far outpacing other nations.
The AI investment boom is bringing incredible optimism, mostly concentrated in the United States. When we look at the distribution of AI investments, the US stands very tall, and then come the rest of the world. What it drives here is also recognizing that there are two things for AI to work. One, energy. How that can be secured on the scale that is necessary. When we look at the demand for energy for AI, it is equivalent of half of the energy consumption of the United States. It's really big. And the second one is how would then AI penetrate the rest of the economy? How would it transform sectors? Because AI would be valuable only if it makes a major contribution to productivity and growth. We have done our assessment. Our view at this point is that indeed AI will contribute to growth somewhere between 0.1 and 0.8%. This is significant. Remember, we are stuck in this around 3% growth right now, and if we were to extract that kind of boost of growth, that would be very significant for the world. Of course, we don't quite yet have this penetration of AI across the economy, and this is why we are emphasizing one thing: preparedness. Are you ready for it? We have developed at the fund AI Preparedness Index. It ranks 174 countries on 4 criteria: digital infrastructure, labor market skills, innovation and how it penetrates. In other words, is AI making a difference in transport, in agriculture, in healthcare? And the fourth is the trickiest: regulation and ethics. When we rank countries, here is a problem that arises. We have a very big distribution from the best to the laggards. Advanced economies and some emerging markets, among them China, but also Gulf, most of the Gulf, they're concentrated in the top 1/3. Low-income countries at the bottom. So the risk we see is that we may end up in a world in which there is increase in productivity, but it is also a source of divergence within countries and across countries. And this is why I go back to the point I made: preparedness really matters, and it is happening fast. So we don't really have much time as societies to be ready for AI.
Senior officials from the International Monetary Fund have commended Sri Lanka's economic turnaround following a deep recession, urging the government to maintain its reform momentum to secure long-term stability and growth. Speaking on the sidelines of the IMF and World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C., Thomas Helbling, Deputy Director of the IMF's Asia-Pacific Department, highlighted the island nation's impressive recovery, noting that Sri Lanka has transitioned from crisis to growth through a homegrown reform program.
On Sri Lanka and fiscal consolidation and balancing on growth, I think let's take a step back. After a deep recession during the crisis, Sri Lanka has now implemented a program, a homegrown reform program, and now benefits from very strong growth. 5% last year. We estimate 4.2% this year, and the next year sort of going towards potential of 3%. So the key advice at this point is really continue with program implementation, reap the full benefits of the program, and then growth will come and continue. For Sri Lanka, what is important is to continue on the way to stabilization, make sure that the institutional and other factors for macroeconomic stability are given. Fiscal consolidation plays a key role, and also ensuring viability of state-owned enterprises to mitigate or lower contingent risks to the budget will be key for these benefits to continue.
I think the point I would make is, Sri Lanka has come a long way from where it was a few years ago. And so the advice we would say is stay the course. You've done the difficult part, continue with the reforms, and you'll see the benefits. You're already seeing the benefits, you'll continue to see more benefits.
The Banking and Insurance Summit organized by the Finance Students of Association of the University of Kelaniya was held in Colombo yesterday.
As part of Investment Week 2025 and under the theme Harnessing Financial Literacy for a Resilient Economy, the Finance Students Association University of Kelaniya hosted the Banking and Insurance Summit in Colombo yesterday. Guest of Honour KMAN Dowlagala, Senior Deputy Governor, CEO of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, emphasized on the importance of a financially literate nation.
The most resilient economies are built not merely on strong institutions but on financially empowered citizens. An economy is only as resilient as the financial decisions made by millions of individuals and businesses every single day. The Financial Literacy Roadmap of 2024-2028 seeks to ensure that financial inclusion promotes reliance on credible information and not just on perceptions, and to help individuals, households and businesses to make sound financial choices. Building a financially literate nation requires collective action across multiple fronts. Universities must integrate practical financial education into curricula across all disciplines. And it's not just in finance and accounting programs. Every engineer, every doctor, every teacher, every artist needs financial literacy.
The event was attended by several professionals, including Senior Professor Nilanthi De Silva, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Kelaniya, who attended the event as the chief guest.
The Art of Ismath Rahim was launched at the Cinnamon Life at City of Dreams yesterday.
The Artist Spotlight featuring Ismath Rahim was launched at Cinnamon Life at City of Dreams yesterday. This offers a curated snapshot of Rahim's enduring engagement with Sri Lanka's architecture, ecology and social landscapes.
There's the rest of the exhibition is about my development over 50 years as a painter and architect. So I think it's time is everyone enjoyed this exhibition.
The Artist Spotlight series, showcasing the works of several artists, celebrates Sri Lankan art and supports the growth of the island's creative industry.
The S.R. Kottegoda Memorial Oration 2025, organized by the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science, was held in Colombo yesterday.
The S.R. Kottegoda Memorial Oration 2025, organized by the General President, Council and Ethics Committee of the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science, was held in Colombo yesterday. The oration for the event was delivered by Dr. Ruwan Weerasinghe on the topic From Human Directed to AI Sovereign, Preserving Human Autonomy in the Era of Intelligent Agents.
Today, the word AI conjures extremes. Miracle and menace, oracle and overlord. We see headlines that suggest AI knows, decides, or replaces, and others that promise it will cure every inefficiency. Both myths, the omnipotent machine and the magic wand, obscure the real questions Sri Lankan science must answer now. Not whether AI will shape our future, but how we will work with AI to shape it responsibly. The urgency is practical, not theoretical nor theatrical. AI is already woven into our decisions in labs, clinics, courts, classrooms, factories and farms. What will determine our outcome is not AI's existence, but our governance of it. Who holds authority? Where oversight lives? How human and machine interact? And where accountability ultimately lands? These are not abstractions, they are design choices that either protect public trust or fracture it. Sri Lanka's scientific community has a rare opportunity to set standards that marry ambition with stewardship. Guardrails that make our systems safer, our institutions more trustworthy, and our sovereignty over data and decisions clearer. In the spirit of Professor Kotegoda's legacy, let us pick principles over hype, design over drift, and accountability over abstraction. If we can agree on a precise way to locate any AI system along this spectrum and calibrate its guardrails accordingly, we can replace anxiety with agency. We can decide rather than be decided for, and we can ensure that the intelligence we build is worthy of the society that we serve.
Vidya Jyoti S.R. Kotegoda was a leading authority in the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science on the subject of ethics in science, having established the oldest ethics review committee in Sri Lanka.
The National Trauma Conference 2025 was held in Colombo today.
The 2025 National Trauma Conference commenced in Colombo, marking the beginning of a 3-day event running from the 17th to the 19th of October. Organized by the National Trauma Secretariat of the Ministry of Health, the conference is being held under the theme, Tackling Turbulences, Teaming Up for Transformation, emphasizing the importance of collaboration and innovation in advancing trauma care and emergency response systems.
It was the Trauma Secretariat which for the first time in this country embarked on a system approach to trauma. So thereby in 2016, the ministry developed AN policy for Sri Lanka. In improving the quality of trauma services, I think it's very important that we seriously embark on quality improvement programs, QI programs. In today's terms, in pre-hospital care, we have the pre-hospital care system we call Sirasa, and we have 272 dispatch centers, and then we have about 350 ambulances. It will increase by about 150 in near future, and our response time in Colombo area, it's about 8.2 minutes, and in the periphery, it's about 14.4. The government is investing on improving E&E centers countrywide, and of course we have to institute systems in so that the care is much better. And then also we will be developing the National Trauma Registry.
The conference brings together leading experts and practitioners in the field, including Dr. Asela Gunawardena, Professor Sharmila Disanayaka, and several other distinguished professionals.
Port City Colombo has been named the Best Knowledge Zone Asia Pacific region and received a highly commended citation for sustainable zones in the prestigious Global Free Zones of the year 2025 rankings by FDI Intelligence.
Port City Colombo has been crowned the Best Knowledge Zone in Asia Pacific in the prestigious FDI Intelligence Global Free Zones of the Year 2025 awards, marking a major milestone for Sri Lanka's flagship Smart City project. Built on 269 hectares of reclaimed land off the coast of Colombo and granted Special Economic Zone status in 2021, PCC has emerged as a magnet for service sector investment despite Sri Lanka's recent economic turbulence. Among the latest developments is an agreement signed in May 2025 by IGT1 Lanka, a subsidiary of Sweden-based IGT Holding AB, a global provider of software and business process outsourcing services. The judging panel commended PCC's investor-friendly framework, which includes zero personal income tax for expatriate employees, tax exemptions for developers and investing companies, and the appointment of International Alternative Dispute Resolution Center to ensure legal certainty and streamlined conflict resolution. This accolade comes amid a global shift in foreign direct investment trends. Data from FDI markets reveals that in 2024, nearly 50% of all FDI projects in free zones targeted software, IT and business and financial services, a sharp rise from 18% a decade ago. Free zones worldwide have evolved to capture this surge in service sector investment, and PCC's success reflects Sri Lanka's ambition to position itself at the forefront of this transformation.
The Met Department warns that many parts of the country may experience showers or thunder showers in the coming hours.
The Department of Meteorology has issued a heavy rain advisory stating that some areas of the western, Sabragamur, central, Uber and northwestern provinces may receive rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters. Heavy winds may also accompany the thunder showers. The Meteorology Department has advised the general public to take adequate precautions to minimize risks from strong winds and lightning. Meanwhile, due to the ongoing heavy rainfall, landslide warnings have been issued for 10 districts this evening. These include several areas in the Badulla, Gaul, Gampaha, Kandy, Kegaul, Kurunagala, Mathale, Monaragala, Nuwara Eliya and Ratnapura districts. Due to the unseasonal rains experienced across the country, the bridge on the main road from Mathale has been completely destroyed in the Sripura area, disrupting access to Kammadua, Nagala, Inkuravatta, Koppimale and Koloni. As a result, people are now forced to walk nearly 6 kilometers and cross the river to reach their destinations.
A special initiative has been launched by Gammadda together with the people to support children with limited access to books. This effort coincides with the National Reading Month celebrated every October. You too can be part of this mission by donating a new book and help light up a child's world through reading.
A large number of books were received at the Gammadda office today. Dr. T.M.D. Bernard Pathiraja from Hokandara handed over more than 100 books authored by him to the Gammadda team. Meanwhile, writer Chitra Fernando from Piliandala also donated over 600 books authored by her to Gammadda today.
The door-to-door research reports compiled by Gammadda were handed over to the Mana District Library today.
Since 2016, Gammadda has released 7 door-to-door research reports containing data compiled in collaboration with the University of Peradeniya on issues faced by the public. Gammadda handed over these research reports to the Mana Public Library with the aim of making them accessible for public use. Mana Additional District Secretary Manoharan Pradeep, Mana Divisional Secretary Sirasa Gandeepan and representatives of the Gammadda team were present at the occasion.
For the first time in Sri Lankan history, the price of an ounce of gold in the local market has surpassed 400,000 rupees.
Gold. What's happening to the price of gold? I believe during the past few days we reported to you about the price increase of gold. And right now in Sri Lanka, gold is shining brighter than ever. And why is it happening like this? You might have a lot of questions. So let's have a closer look about why the price of gold is increasing in Sri Lanka.
The price of an ounce of gold has surpassed the $4,300 mark, up from the $2,640 at the start of this year. Global trade reports indicate that high investor demand for gold has emerged over the past period, influenced by factors such as the US government shutdown and the imposition of US-China reciprocal tariffs. In the local market today, the price of 24-carat gold per ounce was recorded at 410,000 rupees, reflecting an increase of 15,000 rupees compared to yesterday's price. The price of 22-carat gold per ounce today was recorded at 379,200 rupees.
මේ මාසේ පටන් ගත්තේ 3,06,000යි. එතකොට අදට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා 4,10,000යි.
අද රේට් එක ඇවිල්ලා 3,80,000යි. 80,000ක් විතර ඉල්ල තියෙනවා.
අද රත්තරන් මිල ඇවිල්ලා 4,10,000යි 24 කැරට්. මේ සතිය විතර කොහොමාරි 70,000ක් වගේ ඩිෆරන්ට් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
අද රත්තරන් මිල 3,75,000ක් යනවා. විකුණන මිල 1,04,කින් ඉහළට යනවා. ඉස්සරට අඩු වෙන එකක් නෑ.
And in news overseas, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet with US President Donald Trump in Washington on Friday as Trump weighs whether to arm Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles capable of striking deep into Russia.
I thought it was a very good phone call. I thought very productive.
The meeting comes a day after Trump said great progress was made during a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, with the pair agreeing to face-to-face talks in Hungary. Trump said the call, the very first with Putin since mid-August, was very productive, adding that the teams from Washington and Moscow will meet next week. As Zelensky arrived in the US, his third visit since January, he said Moscow was rushing to resume dialogue as soon as it hears about Tomahawks. Zelensky has called on the US to provide Ukraine with the advanced missiles, which have a range of 2,500 kilometers. Asked earlier this week if Trump was considering giving Ukraine Tomahawks, he said, quote, "We'll see, I may," unquote. But when asked about the same prospect following his call with Putin, Trump said they cannot deplete the US stockpile of Tomahawks, adding, quote, "We need them too, so I don't know what we can do about that," unquote. Trump later said that he and the Russian president spent a great deal of time talking about the trade between Russia and the United States when the war with Ukraine is over.
It is sports news. Maharaja Media Network has officially partnered with Asia Rugby Emirates 7 Series 2025, bringing international rugby action back to Colombo after an 8-year hiatus.
The second leg of the Asia Rugby Emirates 7 Series 2025 will take place at the Racecourse grounds on the 18th and 19th October, featuring 24 teams from 15 countries competing across both men's and women's divisions. The first leg was held in China last month. This marks the first time since 2017 that Colombo will host a leg of the Asian Sevens, making it a significant milestone for Sri Lanka rugby and its growing fan base. The official partnership ceremony was held today at the Maharaja Media Network headquarters in Braybrook Place, Colombo, attended by key figures from Asia Rugby, Sri Lanka Rugby and the Capital Maharaja Group. Leading the event was Shevan Daniel, Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, joined by Buddhi Vikramanayaka, COO of MBC, and Manilal Fernando, Channel Head of Yes 101. Representing Asia Rugby was its president Kais Al-Dalai, alongside Sri Lanka rugby officials including Tournament Director Hassan Singhawansa, Tournament Committee Chairman Nalin De Silva, Media Coordinator Ravin De Silva and Organising Committee Member Romario De Silva.
The Asia Rugby Emirates 7 series, as you know, comprised of 2 rounds. The first one was concluded in Hangzhou in China, and this is the finale of the pinnacle event of Asian 7 series. So big teams are here in Colombo, the soil of Sri Lanka, and as you know, rugby is the second largest sport in the country. It used to be the first 100 years back. Hopefully it will overcome cricket soon. But we are very optimistic, and we are very happy to be here in Sri Lanka today. And hopefully we will say congratulations to the big winners, the winners of Asia, on Sunday evening.
The Maharaja Media Network is also the official media partner for another major international sporting event hosted in Sri Lanka this year, the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup 2025, further cementing its role as a leading force in sports, broadcasting and promotion.
I'm so grateful to the Maharaja Media Network. The purpose of having sports
is to produce a good citizen for the nation. We have the intention of broadening our base. What Maharaja is doing now is giving us the opportunity to broaden our base. We are at a very comfortable position for us to get people joining us. Not only to play contact rugby, even to play social rugby, because this is a social game. So thank you very much. Well done Sirasa. Well done, Asia Rugby.
All arrangements are made to kick off tomorrow at 8 o'clock. First day match will go on till 10 in the evening under lights. The second day will end up at 7 p.m. with the award ceremony. We welcome all the spectators, school boys, school children, especially Sri Lanka Rugby School has a huge supporters. So we like to get all of them to come and witness this international sevens rugby with all international players in team.
With world-class rugby returning to Colombo, fans can expect thrilling action, vibrant atmosphere and top-tier coverage courtesy of Maharaja Media Network.
And in more sports news, the 2025 ICC Women's Cricket World Cup match between Sri Lanka and South Africa is underway at the R. Premadasa International Cricket Stadium. The encounter between the two sides was revised to 20 overs after the game was interrupted by rain when Sri Lanka were 46 for the loss of 2 wickets at the end of 12 overs. Batting first, Sri Lanka posted a total of 105 runs for the loss of 7 wickets at the end of their 20 overs. Sri Lanka, after winning the toss, opted to bat first. Sri Lanka are yet to register a win in the tournament after 4 matches, with 2 ending in draws and 2 in losses, currently placing them 7th, just above Pakistan. All matches are being broadcast live on TV1, the official local broadcasting rights holder of the 2025 ICC Women's Cricket World Cup, and streamed online via www.sirisatv.lk.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night.